What's up everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a tad bit different. Today I'm actually going to be making a video of 20 things that I learned in 2020. And let me just get started. 2020 was crappy for a lot of people. I mean, I feel like everyone, 2020, we all thought it was gonna be the best thing of my life. I honestly thought for myself 2020 was gonna be my fucking year. It was gonna be a year where I'd be doing a shitload of things on my bucket list and I'd just be living life. 2020 just sounds bomb. But we all learned 2020 was poop, and a lot of things happened in my personal life really bad and not what I expected it to be, especially since all this other stuff happened on top of already my personal shit that went down. So today I'm gonna be talking about 20 things that I learned in 2020, and hopefully I carry it through the 2021 year as well. Alrighty, I got my handy dandy freaking list here because I am forgetful and I don't even know if I could remember it, 20 things in my fucking head. So look, the first thing I actually want to talk about is buying things intentionally. That is number one. So I am a very spendy, expensive, well, actually don't like a lot of expensive stuff. I just tend to like to buy a lot of stuff and accumulate a lot of junk. So this year 2020 has really put my mindset into buying things intentionally, things that I'll actually add to like my wardrobe and more likely like use for a long term, such as spending more on things that I actually need or spending more money on quality things rather than quantity of things. I also stopped buying fast fashion very often now. I used to be that kind of person like, oh, I need to buy like the latest palette for makeup, I need to buy like the new outfit, the jean, the style. I am still like the keeping up with the trends and all that, but I am more mindful of things like trends or styles that I would actually keep, that I actually feel like it relates to me. So, and on top of that, buy more practical things that make sense. All right, so number two actually kind of goes in hands with number one, buying intentionally, is decluttering. So number two, I spent this 2020 a lot, is to declutter a lot of my shit because I realized I was sitting on a pile of crap that I really didn't need. So what I did, I opened up my Poshmark, my Mercari, and I sold a shitload of things on there. And honestly, it made me a really good income now, just on Mercari and Poshmark. And I didn't even know that people actually made incomes off of this. So I was able to make another stream of revenue just getting rid of my lot of stuff. And on top of that, having less things is just in general like makes me have a clear sense of mind, and I spent a lot less time debating about what I'm gonna wear, and then on top of that, whether I have to clean up for things and find space for it. So number two is definitely something, well, I got a fly in my face, the fuck. Something that I learned for really quickly. Number three is really hard, especially in 2020, is learning to disconnect and learning when to disconnect. And I'm mostly talking about social media or in general online, and learning to filter the information I'm receiving. 2020, we received just tons of information all over the place, from like news, from social media to all types of places. And I realized all this information coming to me like all at once was so overwhelming for me, and in general like took a lot of a toll on me and stress that I'm particularly always online, especially in 2020 when we weren't able to go outside, or you were able to go outside but like not do the same things like used to. Things were closed, my state was shut down, a lot of my outdoor hobbies were limited. In general, like learning to just turn off your social media and the TV and filter several channels or blogs or podcasts in my latest routine really helped me have a sense of clear mind. On top of that, I don't need to be online 24/7 and always being catching up with everything else. All right, number four is putting time into a hobby or something that will later progress like a side hustle or something that really makes you happy. Even things that are not profitable sometimes are really important. So 2020, I had just so much time on my hands for some particular reason, because I couldn't go out and do all the shenanigans that I used to do. So I really put in this time creating videos that really make me happy. On top of that, go back to my art and craft stuff, drawing and painting that really made me happy. Things that I used to put so much time into and now has kind of set back as my back burner. I realized a lot of those hobbies really got me through the 2020 when things were just completely like shit. So this year I really spent a lot of time making videos for you guys, and as well on top of that, learning new hobbies, reading, drawing, art and stuff. So I learned that put the amount of time into hobby in these places, it could really make you happy, and on top of that, even profitable in the future. That came into something for me as well. Number 5 is learning to invest your money. So when 2020 happened, like I lost my job, and then I just had a significant decrease in my income, and it was such a hard thing, because in general I knew that 2020, after COVID started, we were gonna go into, why are there fucking flies all over me? Before COVID actually hit, I just started investing, and I've been putting a lot of money in different stocks and getting myself familiar in places that I know that I would be interested in investing in. I wish I could have done this a lot more earlier in hands, because I'm still in my 20s, and I learned that investing is fairly simple if you put the time and effort to educate yourself like everything else, and it actually makes money in long term a lot better. Number 6 is learning to say no to things or people, or in general anything. Learning to just say no. So I in general felt like I was really good at saying no, but over time, like I had a lot of people reaching out to me, especially when I lost my job, were offering me work, or either having me do these side hustles for a very little bit amount of money, or outrageous projects that I felt like I wouldn't be able to accomplish. Not that I felt like I couldn't, it's because it just didn't make sense to me as my character or reflected my values. And so I've learned over time that saying no to offers, even though that may seem appealing when you really need it, are not always great for your health. I took on a project and it wasn't really good for my health, and in general I did not agree a lot of the stuff that I was trying to promote for the business, but in general, like I felt like I could have spent my time into places where I felt like I do feel really happy, and especially a time when 2020, a lot of things did not make me very happy, and for a lot of people it didn't make them happy. So spend time and learn to say no. On top of that, with people too who are just so toxic to your life, just cut them off in general, because you learn over time that it just consumes you and really weighs you down over time. So learn to say no for things and people and opportunities, even things that you feel like people might think might take advantage of you or stuff like that. I learned just that, to say no. Number 7 also kind of goes in hand with learning to say no, is learning to also take a break. So when I got let go of 2020, I just immediately just started hustling. I started hustling, finding jobs, left to right, applying here. I wasn't gonna hear back from people. I was hearing back from some people. Like, I just never had a break before 2020, like just to not work at all. Like I had never had a time where I literally spend time just chilling at home. And so when 2020 happened, everything shut down at like literally my whole state, I was left to do nothing. And that made me so upset, because in my whole life, I always felt like I should be very productive, or I should be doing something, because it just kind of reflected how good I was doing, or reflecting how my worth. But in general, your productivity in your life doesn't always equal your worth. You're always worthy regardless what you're doing in life, or if you're doing nothing or doing something, you're worthy overall, because you're a person. And that's what you just need to learn, is to take a break sometimes and just step back and chill a bit, drink some wine, some coffee and all that. I don't know, but I learned 2020 that you should take breaks when you feel like it. And then on top of that, learn to also tell people that you do need a break. And yeah, that's what I learned in 2020. That's one of my big things, actually. Alrighty, so number 8 actually goes really closely with number 7, is learning to love yourself. And I know we always hear it left to right on like social media, on like fucking people's blogs, some kind of random shit books, I don't know. Like people always say, love yourself, love yourself, love yourself. But like learning to love yourself really truly means taking care of yourself. And so 2020 was not a place where I really take care of myself. For the longest time, I think a few months, like I was chilling in bed, wearing PJs and eating snacks and like crying about the shit that happened to me. In general, yes, in general is not I mean, if that's the way you want to take care of yourself, it's totally fine. But for me, it was not something that was really good for me. So for me, like, I took a step, like cut my hair, I took care of my skin, I still exercised even the gym was closed, like learning to love myself even through things that I felt like happened just because I made those terrible decisions, or happened because something was terribly out of my control. And that is something you gotta remind yourself. Love yourself regardless of the situation you're in. Learn to take care of yourself and never neglect your own personal mind and spirituality and all that. And just in general, like, keep in mind that you also need to be taken care of before other people as well too. That's what I also learned too in 2020, I guess. Like, I just took a little step back and just say, like, I need to take care of myself mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, all of above. So yeah. Number 9 is also very similar to whatever everyone's going through, and it's failing. So learn to be okay with failing. And in general, like, there's times where in 2020 I tried new things that I thought for sure was gonna fucking work, and I failed dramatically wrong, and everything all went bad, and I was just completely devastated because, like, I failed at something and I thought I was gonna do really well. Failure is not easy for a lot of people in general. I don't think no one likes failing in general, but when you do fail, take the time to just step back and just realize what your failures are about. Like, there's opportunities, everything in failures. There's always new opportunities for you to learn and those kind of steps. And in general, like, just failing isn't bad. It's just you just learn, discover one way didn't work, and that you need to figure out other ways to make that work. So yeah, that's what I learned. Failing in general sucks ass, but you know, you're still gonna live and do fine, just fine. Okay, so number 10 is putting time in relationships. So I know 2020, like, we couldn't see a lot of people in general, and I think a lot of people who stopped seeing their loved ones, or in general, started to realize that they should have taken the time to see people, or taking the time to invest in relationships. And for me, I felt like 2020 has really helped my relationship strengthen. I know that a lot of people might say, wow, that's totally opposite, but for my relationships, a lot of it got really strong, and a lot of times it got really weak. So it's like in between. My family and I are really close, and I realized they are the backbone of everything I need to like live off of. I got really close to my fiance a lot more. We rekindle and all that, and just things were just so a lot more different the way we need to communicate. And don't always cut yourself short and blame the things that are outside happening for the faulty relationships. You should learn to always keep investing in relationships, and even checking up on people that we should be checking up more often now, to see how they're doing, because again, the world doesn't always revolve around you, and that you need to also check what other people are doing. So that's also important. 11 is it's okay to ask for help in general. So 11 was asking for help was kind of sometimes really hard, because in general, I think this year I didn't really know I needed that help until I like realized I was just at the ending point. It was like, I need help. And so either for like small things like calling my mom for a new recipe, or calling my dad when I need help with my car, or a question of things happening whenever I'm at my apartment, that I can get a handyman to help me instead of the repairman in my apartment sucks ass. So I rather call my dad. But in general, like, learning just to ask for help before you even sometimes need help, it's always, you save much more time. It's so much more nicer in general for yourself. So number 12 is try new things. And I don't even know how many people say these things, try new things. But 2020, I was really into place experimenting a lot of things that I was really interested in, such as blogging, such as writing, checking out more research projects. I also found more channels that are really important to me, learning to do more finance stuff, I just tried a lot of new things that I thought would be, that I was always was generally really interested, and because I had so much more time. And in general, trying new things without caring whether people thought about it was probably my favorite thing of 2020. It just was able to just be in my apartment, just try new shit and not give a fuck what people think. I think that's just like made me really happy this year of like exploring and finding new hobbies. So that was number 12. Number 13 is learn to let go and just go with the flow. Like, I think that's really important for 2020 because the beginning when March happened, when we happened our whole big shutdown, I was just devastated because I could not control what was happening around me. I couldn't control whether I could go to the gym. I couldn't control whether I was gonna find a new job. I didn't know like the future that things were happening. In general, that was just so overwhelming to me because I've lived my life learning to control every single step on the way and like planning, and then on top of that, researching and da-da-da-da. I'm just a kind of an A to Z person. Like, I know what the fuck is happening 24/7. I was even to the point where I will organize myself in hourly schedule, which made me very, very happy, but in general was not realistic for the situation I was in, which is 2020. So I learned to adjust my outlook in life and learn to just go with the flow when things are happening, and then to let go of the control around you, because some stuff are way out of our hands and out of our control, and that we just need to learn to put control in places you can put in, and on top of that, enjoy the ride, and then on top of that, be patient when things are always changing. And that has also taught me a lot how to improvise and to just go be happy regardless of situations that are occurring. That was 13. So let's see. Number 14 is make healthy routines. And I'm still struggling with this because of like literally everything in like 2020. But one thing I did really enjoy before the coronavirus hit and our whole entire life in 2020 is that I was able to wake up exactly like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning every day because I had to go to work to hit the gym. But I actually went into work like around 8, but I used to wake up at 5 or 4 a.m. in the morning to go hit the gym, and then I would go to my work. And yeah, I love that schedule, and it made me so freaking productive and so happy. I'm an early bird. Yes, I'm a fucking early bird. I cannot stay up late at night, or else I just can't do it. I'm not a night bird. I'm not a night bird, okay? I just can't do it. And so like when coronavirus hit, I honestly my schedule went like downfall. Like I would wake up now from like noon. I would wake up and I didn't even know what the fuck the time it was, and like the days just went away. Honestly, really affected my mood because I like to see the sun and being able to actually know that I have time to do things. Like, so when the sun literally goes down, my mood is just like so sad because I miss the sun. Like, I deserve to be out when there's daylight. So I learned to now just change and have healthy routines. Wake up at a reasonable time that I can still go and have fun outside and get my stuff done, and on top of that, get enough rest. So healthy routines also means like being mindful when to check out on social media, also when to eat, which I also will talk a little bit about that too. And healthy routines, again, number 16 is go less out to eat and more cook at home. So when I was actually going out, I think maybe once or twice a week to like where I needed to be when I went to work, was because I didn't have much time to cook and clean too much often because I was working 9 to 5, and then on top of that have to do other stuff. And I had to do like I don't know why, but like I would just go out once or twice a week with my fiance, and I realized it was taking a lot of my paycheck because I love to eat a lot of food. And so in general, I think during the shutdown, I was no longer interested of getting food to go in general, because most of the places that I really did enjoy eating were places that I had to sit down and eat. And so when those places were closed, I no longer had interest of like getting fast food, like Pizza Hut or shit like that. I was just never interested. I like food where I can sit down and eat. So I like the experience. So in general, now I spend 2020 just cooking most of my meals at home. And I also learned very quickly to spice up my plates when I get bored. And then on top of that, learn to make 2-3 items that you're really good at. And I know how to make some really bomb spaghetti, lasagna. I know how to make pasta dish like absolutely 100%. So I never get tired of that. Especially my fiance, he loves to eat that all the time. Number 16 also goes with food, and that is actually learning to eat food that your body likes. Let's be real, we go on social media and we see some girl eating some fucking kale, goat cheese salad. I don't know. I fucking hate goat cheese, and I hate a lot of avocado recipes, and in general I learned a lot of shit I tried from like online were not even sustainable for my own body. Like I was hungry all the time, and also learned that I'm really bad with dairy, so I cut literally milk out of my diet. Cheese is okay, and then also high fatty foods like I could not digest for some reason. My body was just denying it. So I start just eating more whole foods that were appealing to me, and then on top of that end up being the least expensive things on my grocery list I tend to like. I also don't like snacking as often because I have full meals and I feel very satisfied. So, and then on top of that, I don't eat 3 times that meal kind of shit recommended. I eat 2 big meals and I'm happy after that, and I drink tons of tea and I'm just like, voila, that's me. But in general, like I just learned to understand what my body will accept and other things that they won't. So yeah, that's really important for you if you're ever interested. Learn what your body does not like. Number 17 is actually learn another person's perspective. And that is something super interesting for me because I always try my best to see another person's perspective, but in general, like I never went to seek out another person's perspective. And that might be like, how in general, unless I'm like in conflict, but I like learn about other people. I felt like that was something so important to me this 2020 because a lot of people were being affected very differently due to just a lot of political stuff, a lot of government things in general, like social stuff that was happening. And I really took the time this 2020 to learn more things outside of myself and to other people what they're experiencing. I spent a lot of time heavily researching the politics that were happening around me, any kind of government laws that affected people. On top of that, learning more about my own personal roots were very important. I think it's just an aspect, learning other people's perspective of where they're coming from when there's things that are always happening is to is so mindful. And then on top of that, the relationships I already currently carried is very important to see where they're coming from, because we could also learn a lot of things of avoiding conflict is just to learn another person's perspective. And so that was something very interesting to me. And I read just tons of books about tons of different people, and that made me very happy in general because I know that happiness is in different people differently. I don't know how to say that, but that was something that I learned as well. Okay, so number 18 is something that I struggled really hard during this 2020, and it's learning to be alone, and being alone is okay. So for the longest time in my life, I spent it with quite a bit of people at work. I spent it with my friends, my family, and so when the beginning of the shutdown was really difficult for me because I'm an extreme extrovert. No, I'm not extreme, but I'm an extrovert, and I wouldn't consider myself an introvert because I do generally enjoy people around me. And so when I did not have the opportunity to have people around me, I just went like depression, like straight up. I was sad. I was sad all the time, like, and I just craved human activity. So in general, I just needed to talk to people, and so I spent the time to really sit with myself and feel that it's okay to be happy with your own company as well. And now I'm just super happy of just spending a day by myself. And in general, like, it really helps me feel more energetic. I found new hobbies to do, work on myself, blogging, and then I'm starting up a new website for my own kind of career pursuits. And so, like, in general, it was just super, I just learned just to like myself all over again. And company, your own self is probably the best company ever, to be honest. That was number 18. Number 19 is learning to grow and care for things. So for that might be really broad, but or learning to grow your own things. So I this year have spent quite a bit of time learning to take care of my plants, and I realized that I've gotten really good at taking care of my plants, that I've grown so many different types of plants in my apartment from one plant. So I'll probably show you a clip here where I have several different plants came from one plant or two plants. And so in general, I spent a lot of time learning to take care of things that made me happy, and on top of that made my home a lot more nicer in general. So yeah, I learned to grow stuff. I think I might start a garden this coming season, just in general, to grow my own food, make somewhere in my small backyard. I just want to be able to I don't know, like have a green thumb and feed myself, and then on top of that care for things that make me happy and see it throughout the time. Alrighty, and then the last thing, number 20, is actually to read more. And this is something I just recently learned. I know, like, I keep saying every freaking year, I'm gonna read 12 books. I'm gonna read 20 books on my list, but in reality, I'm not fucking good at that. So, but I actually picked up one of them. I actually finished like 2 books this whole fucking year, and it's just, I know that might sound a little bit, but in general it felt like such an accomplishment because I actually wanted to read a book. So after I finished college, I was really excited to read the books that I wanted to read, and then in general really happy I didn't have to read. But like this 2020, I read quite a bit of books, 2 books, right, that really helped me change my mindset in life. And it's crazy the amount of content or information I consume every day. The most best things that I ever consume is out of a book. So in general, now I'm spending about 30 minutes of like before I go to sleep to read my book. 30 minutes might not seem a lot, but it's really actually got me to my 3rd book now. So it's making slow progress, but I realize that I really do enjoy reading in general and reading about other people's opinions and life and all that. And then on top of that, if you don't like reading, you can always read a lot of blogs, a lot of articles like I do. I tend to digest quite a bit of blogs and articles daily, and I could eventually make that a whole book, but in general, also on top of that, learn to do some podcasts. If you're more of a listening kind of person, do some podcasts, and then learn more about other things that are happening. I also kept up a lot with a lot of people's podcasts, and that made me super, super happy because I feel like it's good amount of energy, and also consuming the right kind of content for your mind to keep yourself positive and feeling good is very important. So yeah, I think I might read a lot more this 2021. If you got any extra books you want me to recommend, feel free to comment below and I will go ahead and find it and buy it and read it. So yeah, I think that's a wrap for this video, and I'm so happy. Sorry, I talk too much, but I haven't talked to a lot of people this much. But in general, if you like this video, feel free to give me a thumbs up, like, and share. Don't forget to subscribe. I post videos like, I don't know, like once or twice a week, and I've been trying to be so consistent with you, but don't forget to subscribe for your new girl, and I'll see you guys next time, and I hope you like this video. Until next time, bye.